Okay, so this episode is going to be a little bit different than last episode. It'll probably be a decent bit shorter, probably only a few minutes. Um, but after, while I was editing last video, I realized that I said a lot of stuff that probably didn't make sense. Talking about like a hotbar, inventory, chess, inventory management, chest management, all of that stuff. That's what I'm focusing on in this episode. So to start off, I'm just going to go over chests, shulker boxes, barrels. These three are all storage items. And then you've got the utility items. There's multiple more than this, but these are just examples. So this is just to smelt things, a furnace, think of it like a stove. Crafting table is what you're going to be using pretty much for every Minecraft world. This is what you go for when you first start. A blast furnace is essentially it's a furnace for strictly raw ores. So say that I grabbed some raw iron. This will smelt it twice as fast as a furnace. Give me 1 second. Why is that coming through my mic? Okay, anyways. This will smelt raw ores twice as fast as a furnace. So this takes, I think, 5 or 10 seconds to smelt a single item, whereas this only takes 5. You can see this moving really fast. And then a smoker is basically a blast furnace, but just for food. So like potatoes, meat, anything like that. A barrel is basically just another version of a chest because they do have the same exact storage capacity. But these do have their own quirk in that if there is, say, let me grab the shulker box. If there's a block above it, okay, we can open it that one. That kind of spoiled a couple things. Let me just get a full block. Okay, yeah, there we go. So now we cannot open the furnace. Or not furnace, the chest. But if we had a furnace on top of a barrel, we can still open it because it opens from the side. So that's the unique feature for this. For shulker boxes, let's say I go ahead and throw a smoker in here. If it was a chest or a barrel, when you break it, all your stuff is going to go everywhere. It's all going to go random places. Whereas with a shulker box, if there's items in it, you will break it and you can bring the shulker box with you. You can see it still has a smoker in it. And you can place it back down and access your items just like that. And a chest, you probably already noticed this is very cluttered. There's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a minute. But a chest will, pretty much every storage item can hold 27 items, or at least 27 different items. And certain items will only stack up to 16, whereas some will stack up to 64. As you can see, there's 32 iron ingots, but yeah, there's only maybe 2 snowballs every now and then only a few ender pearls. And that is just because some things only stack to 16, some only stack to 64. So, because of that, you have 36 slots in your inventory, including your hotbar. With that, you can carry, there's a certain amount of items that you can carry, but it all just depends on what you have in there. So a little trick you can do if everything is cluttered, these are some inventory tricks. If you see that something is kind of cluttered, kind of just spread out randomly throughout a chest, all you have to do is pick that item up, put it back down, and double click it. And it will bring all of the items in a single stack. Or at least however many of that item you have. You can do this with really anything. Just double clicking and moving it into my inventory. Double clicking, inventory. Now, you can move things from here with just one click into the chest. And that is by quote unquote shift clicking. Shift clicking, all that you're doing is just holding shift down and then pressing, you're pretty much just clicking on the item that you want to move, and then it just moves it into the chest for you. There's a little tiny animation for it. We can go ahead and do all that. I'm gonna go ahead and move them back because there's another thing I want to show you. So there's also different ways to place things down. You can place them one in a row. You can kind of splay them out a little bit in even amounts across a certain space. Or you can just, put it down there. So to put it down in a row like this, while you have the item kind of held, not necessarily in your hand like on the character model here, but you can see it's following my cursor. What you want to do, hover over the spot where you want to start the string, and you want to press and hold your right click. And then you drag it over where you want to put one item. This is very useful for item filters, but that's a very long ways away. And if you're wanting to disperse the items equally over a certain amount of space, you do pretty much the opposite of putting it in one row. You do the same thing, but hold your left click this time, and you drag it over however many slots you need. So like that, it just turned into 4 stacks of 4. You can do this with really any. You can do this with any item that stacks, no matter how much it stacks to. And yeah, that's probably it for inventory tricks, except for dropping, of course. So let's say your friend needed an ender pearl. You just look at him and you press Q on your keyboard and it'll drop 1. Let's say that he needed a full 16. You hold control and you press Q and it'll drop the whole stack of what you're holding. Or at least it'll drop everything of what you're holding. Not everything from your inventory, just whatever's in that slot. So you could drop pretty much everything. It's also very useful for just clearing out your inventory, because you can also hold control and press Q over them while you're in the inventory interface. And then also along the inventory, you have your hotbar, which is the 9 slots on the bottom of your screen, the bottom center. I'm gonna go ahead and go into survival, so that you can see what it would look like in survival. Now, the hunger bars will be different. I do have an add-on that turns them into golden carrots, because that is my favorite food item in Minecraft. That's a very popular choice. On the left, you have your hearts. That's pretty much just your player health. 1 visual heart there counts as 2 damage hearts. It's really weird. So if someone says that a sword does 2 ticks of damage, let me grab a netherite sword. I think I have some in this chest. Here. So you can see how the axe does 7 hearts of damage in the name, plus 7 with a sword next to it. That means that it'll do 3.5 hearts of raw damage to the player. Every player has 10 raw hearts, but it only counts. Each raw heart is 2 like perceived hearts of damage. Yeah, I know it's really hard to explain. I wish I could explain it differently, but that's just how everyone really does. Now these are just some shulkers I've set aside because some people will like to set up their hotbars in different ways. Just really depending on what they're doing. So this is just kind of general. Of course, you can switch the elytra out for the boat. Like this will be the player's hotbar here. Some people will switch out the elytra for the boat. But this is just easy access to everything. This is more for a quote-unquote hotkey setup because you can assign certain keys on your keyboard and your mouse if you have extra mouse buttons to certain things on your hotbar. You can see how I'm going from 1 to 7. I'm pressing the 1 key, and then I do have extra keys on my mouse. I have 2 more buttons, and I just press the forward one to go to my 7th spot. Then I press E for my 6th, R for my 8th, F for my 9th. And this is how I would usually set up my hotbar. Because F would be for my torches, these would usually be switched actually. R would be for my axe, E would be for my shovel, and then my pickaxe would just be the key on my mouse because it's in easy reach. And then I'll have 1 for my sword, 2 for blocks, 3 for food or healing items, 4 for either a bow or elytra. And then I always have a water bucket, no matter what I have in my inventory. I always carry a water bucket with me. But that's just me. Some people like to set up their inventory like this. This is usually for scrolling, because you can also use your scroll wheel to go by one through your inventory. You can see I'm doing that now. But I'll go ahead and put these into mine, just so I can show you. So with this, you can basically use the hotbar as an infinite scroll wheel. Just through anything, because it does loop. So the reason that some people would have their pickaxe at the front and then torch in the back, because they are extremely easy to get to. This is usually what some people will use whenever they're going mining. Or for instance, if they are if they're trying to build. Your shovel's also very easy access, because it's literally just 1 scroll in the opposite direction for your torch. And then your water bucket's in easy reach too. Everything's in generally easy reach. The only hard thing to reach would be your boat, because it's in the center. So we'll go ahead and just toss everything back in here. Mess that up a little bit, it's okay. And now, this is what some people like to use. I don't like to use it because I do like having my sword and shovel in my hotbar. But this is also for people who are just building. This is essentially just a building thing, because you're not really going to use your sword or your shovel to build unless you're using gravel or something. Voice crack, jeez. Sorry about that. They'll have their golden carrots or just any kind of food. Not really, it doesn't have to be golden carrots. Pickaxe, shovel. They'll usually have 2 or 3 empty slots for, say, blocks or something while they're mining. Or not mining, building. Torches, of course, to light area that they just got out to build. Water buckets so that they can fall down safely. And firework rockets, I don't think they're in. No, they're not in any of these. But usually, if you see someone having having fireworks in their hotbar, usually means they're wearing an elytra, or they are about to wear an elytra. Because when you have an elytra on, you can use fireworks to fly. and this is the best transportation in the game. Not necessarily the fastest, but definitely the easiest for what you get. So that's why you'll see people doing that. There's also some people who like to have both their elytra and a chest plate in their hotbar, especially if they're like out at night or they're on a mob farm in case something happens to the mob farm, like it breaks and a bunch of monsters get out. They'll have to switch to their chest plate really fast or else they could kill them. So they'll have their chest plate here and they'll just switch to their axe and start going absolutely ham. But that's basically it. There's not a whole lot else to show you. I just wanted to clear some things up. And I'm more than likely going to make another video on the survival world. I'll probably post it next week because I'm planning to have this as my weekly upload. Also because I have caught a virus. I am sick, as you can probably hear. My throat's a little more raspy, but I should be okay by next week. Hopefully this Friday. If I can get another video out this week, I will. But if not, then obviously I won't. Yeah. If there's any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments, and I will try to explain it as best as I can. Not the greatest at explaining things, as you can probably tell, but I'll help if I can. I do plan to make more videos in this format, kind of on a super flat world, just with some example blocks out. I'll probably just end up making this world like this super flat showcase or whatever.